like, nope, I take my boat out on the water and I eat bagels for breakfast.
Yeah, not bad. Thank God.
Sean, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Chris, are you recording already?
Yeah, we're going.
Let's get started then. Yeah.
I'm being recorded.
Yes,
That's our
wait,
intro.
I messed up.
That's our intro.
You messed up for recording.
No, that's okay. All right, now we're here. All right.
Oh God, that's our intro. That's it. That's all you need to know. Jeff's here. Hi, Jeff.
What's up?
Perfect. So we have Jeffrey here, Jeffrey Cernouhous. He is my brother, as you may know, but nobody seems to know that, which is hilarious. So yeah, basically, Jeff, you just put out a sampler and we wanted to kind of dissect that and go into like the background of what you did to make this sampler, because it's something else that most people are missing from their samplers. So I think that it would be really good to go over. Plus, it fucking blows most people out of the water, and you're like, what did you say about it? That what's coming out after this?
My next sampler, you're saying?
Yeah, you said
Ooh.
I don't even remember.
you were like, man, there were so many things I wanted to do that I just couldn't do. There's like, how many injuries did you say you had during this period?
I was mainly dealing with a groin injury, so it kept coming back because I need to learn how to sideswipe like a tricker, and I can't do it without hurting myself. So I hurt my groin a few times during this one, and then I've had like some minor ankle injuries and stuff. So probably like 2 or 3 over the course of this one.
And how long did it take you to make this?
6 months.
Nice. Dude, that's actually that's honestly a short time. I feel like most people take like a year at least to make a sampler, sometimes more. And then it's still like pretty basic. And yours is like fucking dope. So yeah. Is there anything, Sean, you want to ask first, or anything that you want to share, Jeff, about the sampler before we just get started breaking down clips?
You brothers are too similar getting groin injuries.
I just want to say that I did it first.
We got too much groin, my guy.
Not enough to go around.
No, too much to control.
Yeah, honestly.
Oh no!
Mike Guthrie over here with this fucking schlong. I can't.
Yeah, every time.
Slap it on the table for us, man. Come on. God.
Well, I'm glad we were able to share those things before we started breaking down the sampler. So now, all right, let's get started.
Oh man, that is
4K.
It's recorded on my end, so it's probably gonna look a lot better.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks a lot better on his end. It will not look good on our end. I will tell you that now. But watching it by ourselves, like the first time I watched it, because it dropped, I saw it and I was like, ooh, gotta watch this. Oh, God, this is a fire sampler.
Yeah.
Thank
okay.
you.
So already so far, what I want to ask you is where were those clips taken? Because I don't know that area.
It looks like
Yeah, it was actually Hudson. It's at this like baseball field. I can't remember the park. We call it the Castle Park.
Yeah. Okay, I know where that is. So,
Yeah.
well, regardless of that, what that reminded me of is how fucking often you're training. So let's talk about that first.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I try and train as much as I can. I mean, I have to drive over to the cities every time I want to train, which is usually like 45 minutes or more of a drive each session. So, and there's usually like three sessions a week that I go to. And then during the summer, I'm just trying to find like the softest grass that I can. And that was like, I kind of found that place at the end of summer too. So it was nice to be able to train there every day that I could before work. And then, yeah, just like warm up every day with like 20-30 minutes of tricks, and then go to work, come home, go to sesh, and repeat.
Nice. I was about to say,
so
up here, finding soft grass is not easy because
It's not.
grass near your guys' house was always very prickly.
It was so bad. It wasn't even real grass. But yeah, that's a good idea because they actually take care of the baseball field grass. But yeah, I mean, so like for anyone who like kind of understood Jeff's roundabout answer there, that's like 7 days a week of tricking plus the 3 sessions of hard training a week on top of that. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's a total of 10 sessions, 3 of them being extremely hard, 7 of them being basics, and with your basics constantly increasing on grass. Like, because in the sampler we see massive grass tricks that like literally you can't tell the difference between you training on grass or on spring floor.
No, not really at all.
I mean,
guess
big shout out to Jacoby though. He's the one who got me into it.
Into grass tricking?
Well, not the grass tricking, but like he was the one who got me into training every day.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you haven't had any like negative side effects from that?
No, I started tricking every day because it was helping my body more.
Oh, that's great. Okay.
That is actually really good. Oh, the iconic IHOP. Oh God, the IHOP dub dub. I remember when that dropped and everybody was freaking the fuck out. Flyaways. Is that the secret session spot? Is that flyaways?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is that a secret session spot? Like, I don't get it.
Okay,
I mean,
perfect.
Really
so
it's not like super secret.
Well, when Chris was
have to be good though.
Breaking the fourth wall, when Chris was up here, he was like, "Yeah, so we're going to the secret session spot tonight." I was like, "Oh," I was like, "Where is that?" He's like, "It's a secret."
No, that was at this place. That was at what is this one called?
Midwest.
Midwest, yeah. That was at Midwest during the pandemic. That was the secret spot.
Yeah.
I never got to go to flyaways.
Yeah, you did. You were there. Well, you were there when you visited.
Yeah, when I visited, but I mean, like, I never consistently went ever. I've only been like once or twice now.
No, that's a new thing.
Yeah. But yeah, so basically what I want to talk about now. So we just saw those clips run through. You want to tell us a little bit about what's going on? What's going on with these?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just like when I was putting it together, I had just a bunch of clips that I mean the first half of this sampler is kind of all like that, where it's just a bunch of like weird bullshit clips put together, and like just a bunch of like when we set up our cameras at session and people will just go in front of it and bullshit around, and it's hilarious, and I like to put that in there because it I like to go in on that, and I think it's important to have fun at the session.
Oh yeah, it's like fun, candid moments. Like, why not include that? There's always that happening. People just don't like to include it for some reason. I think it's great.
Definitely.
Right, exactly.
Well, or they want to include it and they don't have those organically created. But I think what I wanted to really share about your sampler was like the idea of having those moments at session and having those moments with people, and it's like not forced at all. Like that's just your normal thing that constantly happens. And
Hey, if you enjoy our content and you want to show some support, make sure you follow us on Spotify and Instagram. Our Instagram tag is the_flip_side_podcast. Just make sure to go on there. Just shout out like old episodes that you liked, anything about the new episodes. You can comment on any of them. We would really appreciate it. And if you do end up wanting to go a step further, just become a supporter. All you have to do is follow the link in the description in any of our episodes that we've published. And you can also go under the About section in our Spotify homepage.
you can do as little as 99 cents a month. Any amount that you guys support us is going to help us build a better podcast and help build better trickers around the world. That constantly happens. And like those are like genuine friends that like are part of the tricking community, but like are your community regardless of the tricking community. I think that's what's so important, because what I found when I moved down to Colorado was that there was all these little cliques and I didn't necessarily fit in anywhere. And it was just like you have to not expect to have like everyone thinks that the whole thing is all encompassing, and it's just not. And it creates these like moments where you think that everybody is like really good friends. Like maybe from the outside you see it that way, and like everyone is very nice to each other, but I think that there is like a limit to the kindness. And I think that you showing these clips like shows you that there is a deeper level, but you just have to be like accepting of that and like not put up that boundary that it feels like everybody seems to. And like this sampler really kind of like embodies that feeling of the older samplers, that like those Phil Gibbs samplers and those other samplers that with the really old timey vibe, those first ones that first came out, and it had those like wholesome vibes and those pure vibes that this one has. And it's because of those clips and because of like your view on tricking, which I think is, correct me if I'm wrong, but you enjoy the movement, and you enjoy the movement with people you enjoy being with. And it has nothing to do with the fact that there's a community.
And I think I'm in a very lucky situation too, because like, as you said, like Colorado and, some other places in the US have a lot of like really big tricking communities, and people definitely do fit in there. But like, when you boil it down, how many other small groups are there? And I'm lucky up here in Wisconsin and Minnesota, because our group is already so small that we get to know each other so well. There's no weird like barriers between anyone, because it's just such like there's only a handful of us. So and like the other people in here that like I don't know, or that I don't train with, like they still mean a lot, because they came and found me. I didn't honestly really have to go out of my way to like get to know them. They came to me, and then from that we formed these relationships that are more important so than other people in the community that I get along with, but there's already a bond that's created there. And I think a lot of it is definitely just luck based in a way.
Yeah, but I mean, it's also like you have that right point of view. I think it's really interesting to look at it the way you are, in the sense that, yes, movement brings us all together and we have that thing in common with all of the other trickers. But at the same time, like, there is that level of like, you can't be weird, or like there's an expectation of like professionalism, because you are really only acquainted with these people, and like you only know the one thing that you have in common. And like maybe over time you start to get to know them better, but there's still like, despite the fact that we're all sleeping together on the same floor, or like all eating fast food together and like treating our bodies like shit for that short amount of time that is a gathering, and then like going out there and throwing down together, like, and staying up all night and that kind of thing. Like, yes, you get close, but it's like over that short amount of experience. It's not because of having other things in common, or like you never have like the ups and the downs, you just have the ups. And I think that with these people, you're having the ups and the downs, and I think that's what makes like such a really tight-knit group. And like, I think that's what we really need to lean into in tricking. Like, I think those clicks are allowed, but I think that like everyone could kind of, benefit if we understand that like ups and downs existed, and like accept people for that, and like enjoy the sport as it is, but also like people for who they are. And I think that that's being missed right now in the community.
Yeah, I think that's something that Instagram has created too, in a way. Like, not to take it too far off topic, but like I think that the Instagram and like Facebook kind of makes it that way, because people only see the good side of people. And I think it creates this sense of like I don't want to say fakeness, but like over Instagram or just social media in general, people try to present themselves as perfect.
Yeah,
and
like
I think
they like, I heard this really cool quote, like, you don't how do you say it? I'm not who I think I am, and I'm not who you think I am. I am who you think I think you think I am. So whatever I think you think is who I am.
sounds like
Right? Like if you think a certain way, I don't know that. But the way I think you think of me is the way that I will present myself, because I want to fit the mold that you are creating, or that I think you're creating.
Right.
So it's the same idea, is what you're saying, but it was a cool quote. I just like the repetitiveness, but it, like, if you dig into it, it means a lot. It's very cool.
Yeah, it's sort of a guessing game.
Right,
if you
exactly.
just go off of Instagram and social media.
And then if you guess, then you're just limiting yourself so much.
Right.
Yeah. Especially in seeing if people are even genuine or not.
Right.
Feels like that doesn't happen as much anymore.
Well, but people, that's the thing, and people don't want to come across as disingenuous, so they just do less. And then when they do less, then that's where this awkward air comes from that I constantly am seeing in this new like tricking community, that it wasn't necessarily there when I was like in a smaller group back in Wisconsin, Minnesota area, or even like when I travel around and like I meet up with groups that isn't a gathering, but I'll meet up with people, or they'll come meet up with me and we'll hang out. You get a much better connection with these people than you would in a large group setting. And I think that that's what's missing from a large group setting that could still, be applied. It's just like something that you need to consciously, like everyone needs to consciously focus on.
Right.
But yeah, so I'm glad that we were able to talk about that because that's definitely something I wanted to mention in the sampler. Because yeah, it's super
1 minute into the sampler.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get back to it. So, what about these concrete tricks? Tell us about this. How hard was it to make yourself do this shit?
So like the first concrete or like hard floor dub that I did, honestly, I don't even remember where it was. I don't know if it was the IHOP one. Oh yeah, it was. It was actually outside of IHOP.
Right. I
And,
remember that.
yeah,
I was at that gathering with you.
Yeah, so I did that, and I actually ended up trying concrete triple cork. It was like 4 in the morning, and I landed. I landed flat on my ass.
4 in the morning.
It didn't go as planned. I'll just say that. And,
Is that
yeah,
the one where
so-
you fell right on your ass?
yep, right in front of a bunch of strangers, and
They were like, "What the fuck just happened?" They thought you literally just had no idea what you were doing, and you were just like hucking yourself because that's probably what it looked like.
that's because that's what I was doing, and, and so that ended up happening. And at the next gathering at this IHOP, I think it was Cameron Hendrickson that had brought it up. He's like, "You gotta do dub in the IHOP," and we were all just sessioning in this IHOP, and we were moving tables out of the way, and I was like, "All right, well, I'm gonna dub here." So then, that was one of the first ones in the video, and after that, it's just kind of like a routine at this point. You know, if there's somewhere that I like, I'll just dub. You know, kind of makes it a
That's so crazy.
special.
Yeah, and then like the concrete triple cork, that's a crazy one. Man, I mean like this triple cork is so crazy. That
Yes,
rebound is just wild.
That's out the outside auditorium, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the band show.
Wild.
It's pretty
that
cool.
was funny.
See, the hard part for me would actually be like, I mean, obviously the whole thing is difficult, but like planting your hand on the concrete, it's like such a terrible reminder that you're on concrete, but also it's like it's cold, it's like hard and rough, and like it's just like one more thing you have to think about as you're taking off. And like when you're doing the setup, it's got to be perfect because everything's in the setup. So like that little piece of information is just like
Yeah, I mean, on that took me 2 tries. So the first one,
Oh.
I did it and I touched my hand and I was like, that was way closer than I thought I was gonna get. And then
Oh fucking what?
I thought I was gonna land on my face.
Why would you ever? You're like you don't land and you go, oh, that was closer than I thought I'd be. You're on fucking concrete. What are you doing?
Like, what?
I don't know. I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm gonna do it. And I didn't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing. So I sent it again, and on that, I did land, but my right foot came down so hard that I bruised my bunion on my right foot.
Oh.
Yeah, see, dude, like nobody gets to see that stuff because it just looks like you did it perfectly and you have all this adrenaline and you're hyped and you won't feel this until like an hour later.
You're like, why does my foot hurt so bad? Oh yeah, I kicked the concrete. That's so good.
Pretty much.
That's why it's never worth it. That's why I hate grass tricks even. Like I'll go train. Yeah, I'm actually much better at it now. Like over the summer, I did a lot more grass tricks, and like I just had to basically like reel it in and be like, oh, I'm not training, marathon combos that end with dub or like massive swing chains. And then I was like much better at grass tricking, and I didn't have pain for weeks afterwards. It just needed to like chill out on grass and go hard in the gym. But that doesn't fucking matter for you, I guess.
Well, it was funny because I posted something about it on, I don't remember if it was Snapchat or Instagram or whatever, and Aspen Tree actually responds to it, and he's like, yeah, the thing I put on my story was, I'm never doing concrete tricks again, and it was like a picture of my foot afterwards, and it was like black and blue,
Yeah.
and Aspen's like, yes, you will. I'm like, you're right.
Damn it. Called my bluff.
Yeah, he called
Yeah,
you out.
You got me.
God. I mean, still, that's nuts that like your first triple cork outside is at 4 a.m. just randomly. I'm just like, yeah, I could try that. Like, why not?
Yeah, that's insane.
Peer pressure. That's what it was.
Oh, geez, that was such a good dub too.
In front of a Waffle House. Gross.
I love Waffle House.
Dude, your car dub is so good on hard floor. It looks way better than on like spring floor.
I know, right?
Your spring floor ones are so vert. I don't know how you even pull them.
There's way more at stake on concrete. So I have to
You're like,
work
I
on-
have to do it right now.
Yeah, I think like half of these clips from the first half of the sampler was like in a day. I just went downtown with my little brother and I was like, "You want to videotape for me?" He's like, "Yeah, sure." So we were downtown for like 3 hours just videotaping tricks.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
I
was
feel like
sick.
Brody would be up for like everything. Oh,
Yeah, he's pretty chill.
I gotta get one of those nicer knee braces.
Wait,
I am still
it
jealous.
didn't even look like you in that vest. That's so funny.
That was actually terrifying. That dub was.
With the vest
never
on, did
been-
it cover your face? Because I would lose my mind.
I felt like I couldn't even tell where I was. Like I could see, but my whole body was like just waving around.
Ugh.
That's how I feel 24/7. Yeah, dude, there's so many concrete tricks in here. Oh, yes, I remember when you said
That was iconic. Okay, so one of my girls actually went to school and graduated the same year you did, and she was
Oh,
like,
really?
"Oh my God, did you see this?" And I was like, "Yes, I already saw it. I already liked it." I talked to his brother about it. She's like, "It would no one. It was crazy." I was like, "Yes, I know it's crazy." She's like,
You know
"It
what's
was out of
funny?
nowhere."
And you did it so fucking casually too. It's
I
hilarious.
know.
You're just like, yup. Anyway.
It was
Let me
honestly
finish.
very terrifying. Like that ramp is extremely small. It's like probably
Right.
shoulder width is all it was.
And I'm
And it
surprised
was-
you didn't like break through it too, because it's like what made a cardboard. Like it's the crappiest thing ever.
Not look thick.
Yeah, it was scary. Like, and I was so shocked, like for myself, because I thought I was gonna fall in front of the whole school. So I did it and I landed and I actually almost fell over. And when
Because
I
you
briefly-
only land things when you're perfect.
yeah, I'm just like
That's like a
And so,
Jeff
like-
meme that if you don't know Jeff, like he falls if he like isn't standing up perfectly. If it,
Yeah.
otherwise you can't you have no clutch.
it is zero clutch ability whatsoever. Yeah, so after the backflip, I walked up to go shake the principal's hand, and I was supposed to like grab a fake diploma from him, like in front of everyone, and I didn't even grab it. I just shook his hand and walked off because I was like in such shock from the backflip that I landed it, and then I just like walked away. And I'm like, he's just still holding it. He's like, all right, whatever.
probably like,
That's
"Don't
fake, I
forget-"
know.
It was funny.
That is so funny. You can't even tell. I didn't know that you didn't even grab it. That's funny.
Oh,
And
man,
they weren't mad at you. The teachers weren't upset.
No, they're like, yo, you're supposed to grab that. I'm like, okay, well.
No,
I'll
but
get
they
it
weren't.
after."
They didn't care about the backflip.
Well, okay, well, they told us not to do it. They're like, you can't do anything to make yourself stand out. And I'm like, bro, what?
bet.
I just went,
You're like, wait, that made me stand out. I thought everyone could do that. It's so natural for me.
That was casual.
I do triples. I was just like, I just was walking and yeah.
I thought I was falling backwards. I'm so sorry. I had to catch myself.
I was
Yeah,
in
it's
what
like-
shock is you guys?
oops, I accidentally hit chest on leg day. My bad.
God. Oh, the next iconic dub when you were, and that was actually at the, that was the same girl.
Jesus, Sawyer.
She was at that party. So where Jeff did that dub in the random like hotel looking apartment area.
Oh,
Oh. Damn.
There's too much here.
Oh.
There's so
Ow.
much.
I'm pretty sure the flippers don't taste good, but you know.
they don't.
No,
I
that-
also know that they don't.
How many?
was-
Okay, so how many attempts in were you on that, or was that your like
That
your
was-
first attempt of the day?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I honestly wasn't feeling good that day, and I was like, I want this. And so, like, I sent it, and I clearly ate shit, and I was seeing colors and stuff afterwards, and I was like,
Yeah, you were definitely.
You probably had a concussion.
I was like, yeah, I probably shouldn't do that again. And then, yeah, that was pretty bad. I haven't sent it since.
Yeah, dude, that's like also why I'm not worried about MMA at all, because I did this stuff and I've gotten concussions. I still even have chipped teeth from this because I've clashed my teeth together and chipped my teeth. I don't know if you remember that day, but I was working on literally cheat sevens and I got lost and I smacked my knee against my chin. It was so bad. It was so bad.
This man
I
is
still have fucking chipped teeth from it. But Yeah, but like that's why I'm like not even scared because I cannot imagine like it getting knocked out is gonna be any worse than this. Like I've been concussed, I've chipped my teeth, I've done all this shit. Like this is just like slowly killing me way more. And like getting knocked out, you're just like, okay, now I take a break. Like it's just done. Like I don't know. This just seems worse to me. Tricking just seems so much physically worse.
Hey, at least you got over your head.
True.
Like,
That's all that
seen
matters.
people neck some pull-ins and double backs in my time, and oh man, that's some scary stuff to watch.
Yeah, you
My
could have
nose
died.
saved me.
It's like a giant ice skate.
I use it as my kickstand. I could just go and I stop.
Yeah, there's actually
No
a dent in
hands.
the floor.
Great. Oh, jeez. I remember seeing that.
I'm assuming you didn't
Oh.
assume you were going to be that close to the car door, and then you saw it mid backflip, and you were like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah, I thought I was dead.
Ooh, I'm assuming. Did you get lost in some of those skills, or was it just like you knew that you needed to bail? Because getting lost is the worst feeling.
Some of them I got lost. That one I definitely did. On the quad on tramp, I wasn't lost. I just like hit the side so hard that I just like flung into the net, and I really couldn't do anything. I couldn't do anything about it. Yeah, I know, right? I literally had just fixed it that day too.
I was about to say, there's a couple times we've all been on that trampoline where all of a sudden you go flying one way, and you're like, "Ooh, man, if that net wasn't there."
I would have been dead long ago if we did not have a net.
Ooh, those are some nice mats. Kind of want them. Now I'm thinking of the gym, and I'm like, "Ooh, man, I can."
Yeah,
use
you
that.
got way better at G switches, dude.
I know. It's you just gotta do them a lot, I guess.
Yeah, dude, it's my favorite trick for sure. I can't wait till I can hit one to triple cork again. I'm so close.
Like that.
Yeah, like that. Yes. You land those so good. Like your feet are so close together. I always land with my feet apart.
I've told Chris for a long time, you have way better twisting tech than him.
Everyone is really surprised. Like I'll get DMs a lot about like, oh, how do you twist and stuff. And I'm like, honestly, it just really came naturally. And I think it's because like I repped it on trampoline so much. And I think it just from doing it on tramp, I think it just kind of formed into that.
Yeah, I think that's what it was too. And like you don't train variations really. I think you
No,
do way
I mean-
more just high value twisting.
True. Like if I do variations, my legs will still come together afterwards and before.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah, twisting just comes naturally to me, honestly.
See, but people DM me about they go, how do you twist? All the time. But it's because I do it like so shitty. They're like, how the fuck are you doing
I
this?
still wonder.
I'm like, yeah, triple core tech is like about here with the arms.
You'll want to make 2 right angles with your arms. for
Exactly, so that you can keep pushing.
Ooh. Plus, like one thing I'm definitely jealous of is like the height of your kicks. Like Jesus, they come out high.
You said that at the wrong time.
I know.
But very true. Yeah, your dubs, dude, are so good. And you've done dub how many times now? Quite a few.
Yeah, more than I can count.
Wow, that's crazy. I still need to hit that. I will.
Still not very consistent, but we're getting there.
Classic TDR or cartwheel to TDR. Nice.
Yeah.
I hate that you made that a thing.
Remember, guys, I can't side swipe. That's my replacement.
Right. Nice.
My dog. I keep getting up because my dog keeps pawing up the door and then wanting to go out and then coming back in.
Classic doggo.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which gatherings are your favorite to go to?
My favorite
Dude.
one so far is definitely Tricktoberfest. That
Yeah.
one, specifically the second one, that one was so much fun.
Why?
I think just because everyone was together. Like most of the people were staying at Ashley's mansion, and yeah, everyone just like kind of found their group, and like everyone was just like hanging out in the hotel, or not in the hotel, in the house together, and like we had like breakfast and everything, and yeah, we would just like goof around in the back, like in the pool and all that kind of
Yeah.
things.
It was just like a lot more chill the whole time around. And then when it was time to trick, it was time to trick.
Right.
But yeah, like a lot less people being separate. That's why I like trick different also, because there is just that one spring floor, which a lot of people dislike, but I like that aspect of it.
Hold on, someone's knocking on my door.
I'm just like enamored watching these combos, and I'm just like, what?
Dude, they're crazy. Like a lot of these are just like triple cork enders for swing chains. Like he just does it so casually, and they look the exact same as the doubles because he lands the same regardless. And the flip twist ratio is amazing.
I know
Was that
it's
Brody?
actually
No, it was my dad.
Oh, what did your dad have to say?
Well, he's like tearing up the floor right now, so
Oh,
probably needs help
that sounds like
later.
fun.
okay. Well, do you still have time?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Sweet. Yeah, we were just talking about your flip twist ratio for your triple cork. It's fucking amazing.
Yeah, I've played with that a lot actually. It's triple cork is super difficult for me for some reason.
Yeah, Sean, that
And
was 3-2. Yes.
Yeah, I know. That is so easy. It was so casual.
I think
it
that
looked like it was hard.
that was probably my favorite moment ever. Like that was just like I was just coming back from the groin injury, and like that was my first gathering since. And I remember Joe just like hyping me up. Like I'd failed it like 3 times, and I was kind of getting tired. And he's like, dude, this is your time. This is your fucking session. Like, okay. And I hit it within the next like 2 tries. It's like I had like when I was warming up for that combo, like I had like 3 people walk up to me and they're like, dude, you have this like fire in your eyes like I've never seen before. And I was just like so zoned in, and I was like, really?
Really? You're like, first of all, cringe, but second of all, okay.
It's like, okay, shit, we're gonna land this now.
Dude, sometimes that's all it takes, just someone to fucking believe in you.
Right.
You're like, why am I doing this? And someone's like, you're doing great. And you're like, I am? Okay.
What do you mean?
Me and McCoy just like locked brains that gathering, and we were just fucking one after another. We were just throwing down. It was so fun.
That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. I'm so like, and that's the thing. Like, the groin injury is obviously super annoying, but at the same time, like, it just makes you appreciate every session so much more too.
Yeah, it's definitely it makes me kind of like take it back a little bit and just like work other tricks too, which is nice. Just to, like, develop my style a little more, and like not be so focused on cranking the hardest tricks possible whenever I have a chance. So yeah, it's definitely, even though I've hurt my groin a few times, it teaches you how to train smarter for sure.
Definitely. Yeah, and like you said, you're just taking sideswipe out completely, so you're just done with it. And something else I wanted to ask too, shit, what I just was, I think. Oh yeah, speaking of cranking tricks, what do you have planned for your next sampler? What were some of the big tricks that you were hoping to hit? Or is that
Well, this
Wow.
sampler, I knew that I wanted to post at the end of the year just to give me enough time to like land as many tricks as possible. I was really hoping to put snatch in there. I wanted to put trip, but I wasn't able to pull those. Definitely in my next samp, I want snatch and trip. Those are the 2 that I'm really, really moving for.
nice?
So,
Okay. And then
Yeah.
what about other like intricacies? Like, I see you're working mega a lot more.
Mhm.
Semi is in there, but it seems like mega is kind of like the one you're leaning on right now.
Yeah, I really like Mega. That one's super fun. It's like that one used to be really hard on my groin, but then I changed up the tech a little bit, so it's not so like strenuous on it. Um yeah, I definitely like doing Mega Miss legs. That's kind of like my thing right now. That's what I'm really focusing on. Yeah, otherwise I'm really just doing like a lot of swings and like right now I'm in like a tech stage, so I'm really just breaking down the tricks as much as I can and focusing on like, am I eagling? Am I swinging my arms? Is my foot facing the right direction, kind of thing. So
Gotcha. So just tech-based things. That's awesome. And then yeah, like that the aerial folds have like all the thing that I noticed in here is like when you're doing the G switches, the reason they're so good and like all the swing chains and like any transition from new move to move, you're not excessively high or excessively low ever. Like it's
No.
just very consistent. Like you're like, I have like, a quarter of an inch to like between my foot and the floor, and that's exactly what I want. Like you're like placing heel toe exactly the way you want to, and like everything's transitioning properly. You don't have any excess energy. It's just flowing. You have so much control over all those movements. It's really, really nice.
thank you. Yeah, I think that's just something like kind of like what you said at the beginning. Like I have to do it perfectly, otherwise I won't land. Because like every time, like I'll still maybe like hit my feet, and 75% of the time I'll hit feet first, and then I'll touch my hand for whatever reason. I don't know. But yeah, it's just like it has to be so perfect. And so like I think because of that, I've had to like just focus on my tech so much more. And then I think
You think
really
that has to do with your height, or do you think it has to do with like the speed and power that you're putting behind the trick, so that when you or is it like is it you being like too cautious and like not confident that you're going to land that trick, so you just kind of hang on, and then if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, you're like, well, I knew that.
It honestly depends on the situation. I've had a few situations where I'm like, in the middle of a G switch and it's like the worst one ever. Like I definitely have bad tricks, and then like I'll still rip the trip. Be like, we're gonna get it. And
Yeah.
then I'm like, why did that happen? But like,
Oh my gosh, I've had some bad ones where I'm in the middle of a triple cork. I'm like, this is the worst triple cork of my life. Why am I hanging on? And then I land. And I'm like, I don't know why that happened. Yeah, it's just sometimes that happens. And then sometimes I'm like, this is the best one ever. And those are the ones where I like land with my right leg crossed over my left, and like I'm not quite there and incomplete.
yeah, literally, I'm
You
like,
just can't tell sometimes. And maybe, this is what ends up happening, I think, is that you're in the bad one and you're like, I can't do anything. So you just squeeze tighter and then you make it, versus the other one where you're like, this one's so perfect. So then you're like half-assing it because you're like, I'm fucking perfect.
that's so true. I definitely found myself getting too comfortable in the middle of tricks. Like my flow will be so good, and I'll just be riding that thing, and then I'll like hit feet first, and that's the times that I touch my hand. I'm like,
Yeah.
now I gotta do it again. What the
Like, damn it!
That is exactly it. That makes me so frustrated. That's the most frustrating thing I think about tricking ever. Like now that I'm like kind of transitioning into the MMA thing, it's like you make a mistake, you fix it. But in tricking, you make a mistake, all this work down the drain. Like you get nothing for it.
Right, and now you got 5 minutes of session left, and you're like, you need to put on like a ventilator because you can't fucking breathe. Or it's like,
Yeah.
You're like, what else did I mess up on?
It says the
Oxygen
man.
in
It says the
here.
man from fucking sea level. Okay.
Yeah, it was about
Oh, that's
Surrounded by the
awesome.
Great Lakes.
What's that?
I'm surrounded by the Great Lakes, and I'm like, where's the oxygen?
Yeah, exactly. You're fucking sea level, dude. And there's oxygen everywhere. You can chew on it. I've been there.
I wish.
It's really funny, like how much I've adjusted to this air. Because when I came back, I was like, that's so much better. Like, I don't know. Like, I like this level so much more. And even when I traveled, I don't know if it had to do with like the time change or just like the mismatch of the schedule, but I felt like more tired there. Like, I didn't even feel like I had more endurance. Maybe it was because we were eating like savages, but probably that.
Don't even want to go into that. We're just
That's awesome.
leave it at
Okay.
that.
So so like you want to talk about like training regimen stuff? Is there anything that you want to share that's like you think is unique to what you do? That is because like something that's pretty strange, I think, that a lot of people question is the fact that you and me have both we both touched on snatch cannon. We both land triple core combos, dub combos, dub variants. Like we both have like extreme like the highest level of tricks. We've both touched on both of them, but we're brothers. So like genetically, why the fuck did that happen? We're also like is it a tech thing because we train together and figure out the tech together? Is it like our drive? Is there something different in the mental? Is it like where we grew up? definitely not. Like, what is it? Like, what the fuck? Why is it like this? Like, how did we both become like, high level athletes? It doesn't make sense.
I think yes. I'm just gonna say yes to all of those because I think it is all of them. Like when you break it down, like we tricked with each other for years, like more than 5 for sure. And like I think that I adopted a lot of your style, and I think you, just because like we live in Wisconsin and there's not a whole lot of trickers here, I think you developed such a unique style that separates you from other people. And then I think I adopted some of that too. And then I think because once you moved out and I was like introduced to tricking from social media like Instagram and stuff so early, I think I got more exposure to it at a younger age than you did. And I think
Yeah.
that definitely took
I didn't ask why you were better than me. I asked why we were both
Oh, no, he's better than you because he had the B-boy stage.
Yeah.
That's why he's better than you.
Oh, it's that
Yeah,
extra exposure to the alternate movement sports. I got it.
Oh man.
Guys, I learned how to head spin 360, okay? I'm top tier.
Okay, I need to see that. Can you make a tricking combo with a head spin, please?
Yeah. No.
Oh, you could fall and then you'd be like, oh no, I touched my head. No, I was going into a head spin. Oh,
Yes.
see?
I'm surprised Shosei and Zen haven't done that. Like, their head is like an inch off the ground. And
Dude, for
like,
real.
it's right there. Just do it, please.
Just do it. That's so awesome. Oh, but yeah, to like finish your explanation there, Jeff. So like, I mean, if I'm gonna answer the question, I would say like we both have like some different level of like urgency and discipline about it, because like we both understand that like, life is finite and we want to like attack it, and we both grew up like kind of on anime, which like is obviously going to give you that hero complex, and then just like there's nothing else to fucking do in Wisconsin. So but then like at the same time we have like very different bodies. You and I have very different bodies, and like I don't think that athleticism runs in the family. If you ask me. So
I think a huge part of my training is like definitely that I had a rival like when I started out early, and I think that's a huge part of what made me progress so much. Like I fixated myself on like a singular person, and I was like, I have to get better than this person. But they were like clearly leagues above me, but not so much where it wasn't impossible. And so, I just started to train as hard as I could to get to them. And I think that's just a huge part of like development of my style for one. And I think that's just a huge reason why, I trick as much as I do, and a huge part of my motivation as well.
yeah, I think that's a really, really good point, because if you're doing it alone, like you find these people who trick alone who don't really have a community, and they just end up being like pretty average, or like what we kind of talked about before, where people are almost like egregious to you when you show up to the gym. They like don't really want you there, or they feel like you're stepping on their toes because they're like, why are you so good? And like, why can't you just, or like, I've even had people say to me, they're like, can you just like relax that session? Like, why do you need to go so fucking hard? Like, we're just here to hang out and chill. And I'm like,
This is
like like I am chilling. What are you talking about? No, but like for real though, like I think that people get comfortable, and that's what happens, and they're just okay with doing that, and we're just not. Like, because we thrive in a learning state. Like we want to be learning and progressing and have those goals set. And like I think also, if you look at the world in like a too big of a picture, you can look at tricking and you can be like, oh, it doesn't matter at all. And then you can like look at you trying to progress in tricking and be like, oh, why do I want to get to this trick? Or why do I want to land this? It's like, what, for this like feeling of accomplishment, for like 1 second of video that I can put out that nobody's going to really see? Like, what is the point of all this? Like, it just doesn't add up. And like, you get it so much from like, muggles, who were like, watch the video and they're like, wait, so you get paid for this? Like, you do what? And you're like, no, I just do it for fun. They're like, you do Olympic level tricks and injure your body and put this many hours into it and change your diet and do travel and waste your money doing all this stuff for this? Like, you don't get paid. And you're like, yeah, because it's fun. Like,
Yeah.
but I think that like a huge part of it, like you're saying, is like having that rival. I think what's very cool about that is it's almost like you're putting all of that to the side and going like, I know all of that exists. I know it doesn't matter. I know people think it's weird. I know it is honestly like a waste of time, like you might say, like quote unquote, like a waste of time. Like, what are you really getting out of this? But like the experience that you get and like the lessons you learn from it are just priceless. And then on top of that, like creating that rival mentality, that is like, that journey that you really do want. And you look at it and you say like, you're almost like lying to yourself in a positive light. You're like, this is all that matters, when like clearly it's not. But like
Yeah.
but the benefit out of that you get out of it. Like you put a lot more weight on it than is actually true. And I think that that's really important to getting better. At least for me, like I was very aware that it did not matter at all if I landed triple cork or even snatch cannon or anything. But I was like, I will die for this. If I do not land, like I was literally in snatch cannon and I was like, I could die right now. I could tear both my ACLs. I could break my back and be paralyzed for the rest of my life. And I am fully prepared for that. Like
Yeah.
I was, and it's just like, and I did it fucking 4 times. Like, what does that tell you? It's like, and I know that you're the exact same way, but it's like, to me, it was like, I was lying to myself and telling myself that that's what mattered, when like it really doesn't matter that much. But like, if you really do want to get that good, then it does matter that much. Like you just have to, you almost have to create this outside weight. Like you have to create a weight that's external to like actually bring the internal weight out, because like the internal weight, nobody truly understands it. Like you can't really express
Right.
that. So like, but you really are like being true to your soul. And I think that's what like people don't understand.
Mhm. I will say that as much as it is good to have a rival, I think that a lot of my tricking has definitely moved from trying to be better than other people, and I think it's definitely moved inward where I'm just trying to be better than myself,
Yeah.
because like you can only focus on so much. Like I just like noticed that I was doing tricks that I didn't want to do because they did it, and I'm like, all right, well that's now fun. So like, I'm getting better at these skills that clearly my body and my skill level isn't ready for. So why would I just end up wasting my time, and like the session isn't as fun. And so now I just go with the intent to make myself better, and that can also make you progress in different ways than having a rival would. So I think it's good to have a balance, and just from talking to other people, I think it is better to be self-motivated if you can. But I think that a lot of people run into motivation issues where they're like, well, I'm not motivated. But I'm like, I think you need to then stop looking so inward, and I think you need to be a little more aware of other people then. I think there's just a balance, and I think, it's just important for people to figure out where they want the scale to be.
Yeah, I think a lot of people try to say what you're saying very well. Just that, like, you can have, like, people say, I really like solo sessions for this. I really like group sessions for this. But, like, they don't really go deeper than that. But I think you said it really well. Like, you do the solo sessions because you're trying to get better than yourself. And then you do group sessions because you're trying to, beat other people, or kind of gauge where you are at and kind of get that I guess reassurance from the other people that you are progressing, versus like being alone and looking at it in a different light. I think that's exactly right.
Definitely. And like no one has the exact same skill set, so there shouldn't really be a point to like do the exact same tricks as someone else. Everyone has their own set of tricks that they're good at, and there's no reason to like copy them. It's like, why would you copy them when you can be doing this that they can't do? You're one upping each other, but in a much more unique fashion. And I think it's important for people to really dial in on that and do what they're good at, because everyone will have a much better time if that.
I think you're right. And I think that there's like a very small percentage of trickers who, after the Shosei era, or like even like during it right now, like I feel like it's kind of dying out now, because people either like the Shosei thing happened and people are like, who is this guy? Now I can't be the best anymore. And
Right.
then they basically went like, oh, well, now I just get to hang out because I clearly can't reach that level. So they just kind of gave up. But then there's the other people who said, okay, well, this is my niche and this is what I'm going to lean into. And then there's other people who are like, I just want to progress for myself. And like, I feel like there was a lot of enlightening going on inside the tricking community of like, there was very few people who decided to keep going and said like, that doesn't matter how good he is. I'm going to progress for myself. And then a very large majority of people fell off. And I think that it's what's creating this kind of environment that we kind of talked about in the beginning there of like, they're very defensive of their position. I think a lot of people are. They become egotistical and defensive of everything that they've created and all the good that they've done. And I'm not like trying to take that away. I'm just saying that you don't need to defend it. You can still keep doing that. Like just because there's someone like Shosei out there and there's other like there's those few people that are competing with him, that doesn't take away from what you've done. And it doesn't take away from what you still do. And I think people just need to see that. There's like a bigger picture inside that.
Yeah, I think as long as people are enjoying themselves when they trick, I think that's all that matters.
Right.
But I don't think you should use the excuse of someone else being, one of the elite to be an excuse for you not to better yourself. And I think that's
you're
where
right,
that
because
interpersonal side comes into play.
yeah, because there is totally that thing where people want to go to the session to honestly see friends and to honestly just do a few tricks here and there. And like it's their once a month or once a week thing that they go just to do. And they're not really trying to progress, just maintain. And they enjoy the struggle of that, like, I just want this combo or like these 3 combos, or I'm going to learn one new move this month or like whatever it is. But then, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm like, what you got to be careful of is like, being that person who's like, I wish I could be progressing, but I feel no need to. And so they have this rain cloud like over their mind saying that like it doesn't matter what they do. So they stop doing it, but they really did enjoy the struggle of improving. And like don't lose the struggle of improving just because Shosei came around,
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, because like when Shosei showed up, I mean, everything got flipped on its head.
It really did. I mean, I had a crisis. I for sure had a crisis.
Yeah, because like he was what, 14, 15?
I mean, when he landed his first triple cork at 12, didn't he? When it was like when triple cork was still like the hardest fucking thing in the world.
Yeah. He's actually just insane. Like he's hard to compare to. And yet still, even at Hooked, there's still people that people can actually see and be like, yeah, they're starting to approach that level.
Right.
And that's still crazy to even think about because like when Shosei showed up, everybody was like, there's no fucking way anybody's going to get on that level. Like he's just a whole different tier. And those people are starting to actually get on that tier. Like, crazy to think about.
It is pretty crazy.
And Jeff, you gotta go to Hooked. This next year.
You do.
I'm actually working on buying a passport right now. So
dude,
nice. I'm definitely going this year.
Yeah, let's talk after this. I'd love to go with you. I really want to go to like for the Europe experience and also for the Hooked experience and the whole deal. Like I would take like a good chunk of time off to be down in that area.
Definitely, yeah.
Oh,
sweet. All right.
If you were gonna, I still have some
words. That's what I was gonna ask. Yeah, Sean, what else you got?
God, my words. That was hard. If you could get Hooked this year, how do you think you would have done?
I actually looked at it was nice that they came out with like a bracket, like a top 16 bracket.
Yeah.
And some of those names I didn't recognize, probably because it's like, a global competition. So there were a lot of Chinese trickers and other Japanese trickers that I didn't.
Yeah, they get like no exposure. I don't know what's with that.
Yeah, I don't know. But I think that if I was at Hooked, I think I could have made top 16. I think I could have squeezed in there. But I think that next year, I think the competition will be even higher because I did realize that there were a lot of people, really top level trickers that weren't there this year. And so with those people, if they come, I think that it'll be harder to make top 16, but I think by December, I could squeeze in there. I'm hoping.
That'll be interesting. I would really see you squeezing in the top 16, especially in this last tournament. I was like, all right, like I see this, and I'm like, all right. I mean, the first person that I usually like put you next to is kind of like Levi and Andrew. So like, especially recognizable. And I'm like, okay, like I see him kind of tricking like this. And then I saw Ethan Turner on there and I was like, yeah, I can kind of see Jeff up there with those names. Like, I think it needs to happen.
It's creeping in. I'm definitely ever since like Vertigo, from top 16, like I've definitely trained way harder since then. Like I was not tricking every day before Vertigo, and now I am. Like I've just like cleaned up my diet a lot, and like I'm focusing way more on sessioning, and like, now I'm tricking over 10 times a week, and lifting 2 or 3 times a week. So like definitely my training is like upped a lot, and like I do have to get better at battling though. I'm dog shit at battling. Like I get way too nervous, and then I like fall on a cheat nine. I'm like, well, there we go. Guess
That's
I'm
me.
out.
That's also me.
Well, it looks like you two have something else in common.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Jeff,
Can't find
we
play.
have a video in the works. It's Chris versus Jeff kind of comparison video. It's showing like I pulled a bunch of clips from your Instagram, pulled a bunch of clips from my Instagram, and we compare tricks. And it's really interesting how similar our tricking style is.
It's wild.
It really is.
It is.
Even though we
wild.
have very different, I mean, how tall are you? You got like 3 or 4 inches on me.
Yeah, I'm 5'9".
Yeah, damn, I'm only 5'5" on a good day. 5'4" usually.
I was about to say, Chris, we are short.
Yeah,
Short.
that's crazy. And but I'm still bigger than Jeff.
I think if I was any taller, it would be a disadvantage. But I think I'm like at that perfect
Sweet spot.
medium.
Yeah, that's crazy. And like something else I think is going to be really important for you during Hooked is like I don't think that you really have your style like locked down yet. I think that like Levi and Andrew and Ethan, those people that are that like one step ahead of you, the only reason is because they have a style. And you could literally, if you pulled any one of their samplers, you could probably make an extremely close sampler to all of them. Be like, if you copied like every single one of their combos, you could probably get pretty darn close to doing that. Or like you maybe tweak it just a tiny bit, like to fit you, but then it would be so similar if you wanted it to be. And that's just because you're so versatile and you can be at that level. But like when it comes to a battle or it comes to like doing passes or like creating a sampler, you're mostly playing. You're mostly like, you're like, what do I want to do? Instead of like, this is what I do, which is what they're all doing. Like they're very just in their element. And you're just like, I can do anything. So I'm just trying to figure it out.
Right. Yeah. That's a cookie cutter combo is kind of like my basic, like, yeah, exactly what you said. I have so many options floating up, and I'm not really particularly good at any of them, so they all sound dangerous. So I'm like, all right, well, don't do sideswipe.
That's awesome. Yeah, I feel like mine is finally gaining ground. Like I'm finally developing a style because I got injured, because I like took a break from tricking and now I'm coming back into it. And like now I know what tricks like you were talking about, like I definitely love the megas. My new favorite thing is to do scoot, gainer mega, aerial, GMS, TDR 0 into whatever.
God, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm definitely focusing on front swings and megas right now. Megas are like my favorite thing to do right now. So I'm definitely diving into that more. I actually posted on my Instagram story about that, like how people really develop styles, because I didn't know where to start, and it just seemed so like weird that people had these such set in stone tricks that they do. Like, Taka does like double backs and weird ass transitions that no one can really do, and like, Levi has these amazing front swings and like just these giant triple corks, and like Jacoby with his like full ins and his double backs, and he's got really clean kicks, and like they all have things that define themselves, but I don't really have something that people really know me for. Right. And people have a lot of trickers that they look up to, and I kind of looked into that. I'm like, okay, well, who do I really base my inspiration off and like my tricking? I'm like, okay, so I wrote them down, but what I don't like about that is that it still makes you so like, you just like put yourself in a box. It's like you can only do these tricks now, and like there's no room for like a whole ton of creativity. And so now I'm just like kind of like what I've always done, but I'm focusing in on it more, where I'm just like, all right, I'm going to do these tricks because I like them so much. And then now I'm slowly starting to see a style develop, and I think it'll take a while, but I think that's more effective for me anyway than it would be to like lock in on a handful of tricks and only train those, because your body's not always feeling those tricks anyway.
That's very true. Yeah, that's a good point. That's probably a big reason why you can trick so often too. And the other thing, like for me, my style developed as I started getting injuries. So like I got good at swings because I broke my right ankle. Now I'm getting good at like megas and front swings and that type of stuff because I really wanted to. But then I tore my hip abductor and I was like, oh well, that's my left leg. So now I need to actually lean into those things. Like so it actually worked out. Like if I hadn't done them, I would have started doing them anyway. And then so like it just all my injuries kind of guided me into like what I am and am not allowed to do. And then on top of that, I think the more I battled, the more I developed a style too. Cause I was like, okay, what am I good at? What am I going to one shot? And it's like, I started to do that. And as I started, and also I wanted my style to like be able to stand out in a battle. And so as I started battling more, I was like building battle combos and I would drill battle combos. And then it made me actually forced to use things like coin drops and spiders and be a little like add like crash moon or like why would I ever do a gainer hook? Oh, because it looks cool. Like it's like things you just don't normally use. Now I wanted to use them because it looks aesthetic instead of feeling a certain way. Because most of my tricks are based on a feeling. I was like, I really like feeling a Master Scoot 03. That shit feels nice. But when you're battling like the aesthetic of like a really well built balanced combo, like the one I always like to talk about, I did like cheat 9 and then you do a J step from the cheat 9 into an actual gainer into a back sweep scoot 0-2 to split. That's a combo that I did and it's just like so balanced because you're going like vertical kick into a J step true gainer that's tucked into a back sweep. So like you're just changing levels back and forth. You're changing from a vertical to a flip over to like another like a swing chain, but down into the splits, which is another level change. So like all of that, I just like the aesthetic of that to me is perfection. Like so that's what I started to become my style is like I want the ups and downs of the tricks to actually be shown through and like that to me is artistic. But like everyone's gonna find their own, you know, thing that they think is beautiful in tricking. So I think if you just found that and then also like leaned into what you're good at and what you wanted to use for battles, that would develop your style. Because I think no matter what, when you're tricking for a sampler or when you're tricking for yourself, you're not going to develop a style because your style is learning and like figuring things out. And that was the same as it was for me. It's just like I want to learn it all. Like I enjoy tricking and that's it. So like how can I have style?
Yeah, I think you really said it. One thing I mean, I can't really talk on, you know, as an expert on battling or anything, but when I was at Vertigo, when we were prepping for the top 16 battles, I was like, they're like, are you nervous? I'm like, yeah, I'm sweating over here. And Ethan's like, the one thing that Ethan said, he's like, we're just going out and having a big session. That's all we're doing. I'm like, oh, okay. And then I just went out and had a big session. And it's like, that really takes the stress off of it.
Oh,
you know, there's still stuff on the line, and like you definitely don't want to go out there and be like, I'm gonna train dub, and like, you know, that's not the mentality. You want to go there and just be like, I'm gonna trick, you know, and that's really all you have to focus on.
Right. That's so true. And I think that that's actually what ends up happening at a lot of gatherings is that people are just there to trick. And so you get a lot of cookie cutter combos or you get a lot of combos that people like naturally fall into. And that's just because they're there to trick. They're not there to train and drill shit. And that stuff's for the grass. That stuff's for like, you know, your solo sessions and, you know, group sessions where you're trying to break tricks down with people and maybe you'll develop that style. And there's those few people who like have some crazy movements and people will pick up as the gathering goes on. And that's super fun. But yeah, I mean, it's just you're there to move and trick and that's what it is. That's what you're doing. And battles, I think, are that same thing. You just got to find that niche that you fall into naturally, but you'll figure it out. I mean, you have the whole fucking arsenal. You're like, if I get every trick, honestly, I can build my style.
Pretty much. Like, all right, well, got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
What has been, with some simpler questions, I guess, what has been your favorite actual trick to get so far?
Ooh. I don't know. Like, I don't even know. Just
it could literally be the simplest thing on earth. Like, it could be a gainer. Like, who cares? Like, it could be anything.
Like, the best feeling when I land or, like, my favorite trick?
Your favorite one to chase or your favorite feeling of one or your favorite look of one?
To chase?
I don't even know. None of them are fun to chase.
Facts. That's not true. You're like, fuck tricking. I hate it.
If I I quit. You made me realize how dumb this sport is.
I'm out.
It's like if I don't land it first try, it's literally just suffering from then on. And then I land it, I'm like, finally, I like had my gun loaded. Like
you're like, I am immediately changing my sampler name to Goodbye. Like that's
literally. I'd say, damn, I don't even know. Like, I think G-Switch Trip, that's like the only one that keeps coming to my head right now for some reason. But yeah, I don't know. That one's pretty fun.
That's my favorite too, dude. That's my favorite too. Because the G switch, you're like, am I gonna do it? And it just like is in slow motion. You're like, I don't know. And then your ankle lands the correct way, and you're like, motherfucker, I'm going for a ride.
Yeah.
Then you take off.
That's true. I think now that I think about it, I think my favorite was actually probably Trip Swing Dub. I think that was my favorite. Just because, like, I don't know, it was just so high level at that point, and like it almost felt out of my league. Like it didn't really feel like I could do it, but I did anyway. And it was just like, it was so out of nowhere. Like I just went to the session and I was like, I'm gonna do this, and then I did like second try, and I was like, all right, sick. And then I did another one. I was like, this is too easy. Like
you're like, what's going on?
Yeah. So and that. I think triple swing is just like a really fun trick for me to do, and it's kind of just like something that I can warm up pretty fast and do consistently. So it just kind of hits all the spots for me anyway.
That's awesome. Yeah, like you get the power from the car wheel, you get the swing action because it's post triple, and then it's post triple. So what the fuck?
Like, whatever
Yeah.
happens after that is all right with me.
Right. That's awesome.
I have one more question.
Yeah, what you got?
Always going to be controversial. Well, actually, I guess I could break it down into two. Why are all trickers' carts just so awful? Why are their full ins not full ins?
I actually got asked that when I was at the River Falls Gymnastics. I did like a full in, and they're like, "What the fuck was that?" I was like, "That was a full in." That was a full in back out. They're like, with that janky ass round off. I was like, "That was a cartwheel."
You hit both of them right in the same. It is one question.
Yeah.
It's so great.
Yeah.
They're like,
You're
yeah,
over
dude,
two.
your fucking cart off deal is like you like you're like a Twizzler. You're just bent all.
I know, it's
weird,
literally,
and then you're like,
and I'm like, how does this work?
you're
I'm
basically
like,
doing a
okay.
handstand snap down and then somehow launching into the sky.
Yeah, that's how you do it.
He's like, yeah, my
That's
lower
right.
lumbar does not matter.
Like, fuck, why does my back always hurt?
Yeah.
Like,
Your long-term lower lumbar health is non-existent.
so bad. Cart off is really good, but I only do it in small increments. It's dangerous.
Yeah.
So far, nothing bad has happened yet, but like, I'm gonna slip a disc one of these times, and I'll be like, why did that happen?
So basically, your answer is because.
Yeah.
Reasons.
It's because.
How scary was it to do full in on floor the first time? Because for me, it was also like terrifying.
I
At least-
think Chris remembers this, but we were actually grass tricking at our house, and we went to the session, and I'm like, I'm gonna full in, and no one was ready, and like everyone just like, I just like ran across the floor and sent it, and everyone was like, what the fuck? And I bruised both of my shins when I did it, and I was like, yeah, that was kind of cool.
Oh, I do remember that. I was thinking of a different time, but now when you said you bruised both your shins, yes.
Jesus.
It was bad. It was really bad.
You were like plenty high in the air, but you just, it was like, I did not think you were gonna send that. We were at Midwest, right? This is
Yeah,
so
I don't-
funny. You just
I don't know
completely
why.
landed on your knees, dude. I was like, what did you just do? You gave up so much. It was the equivalent of you like opening up and pancaking on your back, but like with your knees.
Yeah,
it was so bad. Like you could not have done it. How are your patellar tendons intact? I don't know.
Yeah, like
It
honestly.
was so bad.
I mean, after that, I know I didn't send it for a while, but actually ever since the adrenaline event that I went to, their full ends aren't really scary. Like I just rep them a lot, and like you honestly just have to send it. Like you know that you're gonna land most of the time, so you just gotta like do it, I guess.
Yeah, my biggest thing with double back is that when I do punch skills, my low back like gives out sometimes. So if I was gonna do full in, I would like punch and then my low back would just not engage and I'd be like, ah, and then I would just only do a full. But it's the worst feeling ever because you're mid full and you're like, am I high or not? And then you just decide not to do it. Or like your body keeps going and you're like, no, I should stop. And you're like, I'm already here.
Got him upside down. I'll die.
Yeah, that's why I do swing tricks.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing though, is like with double flips, it's like it's kind of reassuring when you go for it because it's like, well, I know that I shouldn't open, so I have to hold on anyway. Like,
yeah, that's true. Well, also I remember though, like right after you smash your shins like that, like we were on the car ride home, and then you were like, I know I can land it. I know exactly what I did wrong. And you were like, I was this and this. And like, you were just started like analyzing it. Like you were replaying it in your head like a million times over and over. And I was like, yeah, you definitely have it. And we like watched the video. I was like, yeah, this is the only thing. And we were just like the whole time. And then I feel like the next time you did it, you just landed first try, didn't you? Or like you over rotated or something. Yeah. It was like so easy after we broke it down. You're like, oh yeah, I'm confident now. After you said that first one.
Still terrifying, but like, you just got to do it, man. That's all there is to it.
You hear that, Sean? Just do it.
Yeah, right? Just do it. I mean, you know what? I just want to see more triggers do double front. Like, why not? I'm just going to say it. Do double front. It's terrifying at first because it's completely blind landing, but hey, it's fun. I'll tell you.
That's a little different.
Oh, I thought double front was a lot easier to throw than double back.
We're only willing to sacrifice our bodies for cool tricks. Like nobody
is a cool trick. It can't do anything out of it, but it's really cool.
No, because
I value my knees too much.
Yeah, knees, heels, your tailbone, your neck. There's a lot of things for like a single trick.
As bad as it is, when at Midwest, like I don't remember. Oh yeah, they were like, you can only play clean music at Midwest. So I made a playlist, and I hate that gym so much. I'm sorry, but like, so I made this Midwest playlist with like all clean music, and then the profile picture of it was the girl who did double front and broke both her knees. It was
that thing was crack. Oh my god, I remember seeing that on TV when it was happening, and I was just like, ugh.
Dude, Jeff, do you remember when I showed you the video? We were literally sitting at the table. It was you, me, and some other people that were over for tricking. And we just had Instagram open because we had come in from tricking, and we were just grabbing water and some snacks before we went out to the trampoline. I'm just sitting there on Instagram, and I'm like scrolling through, and then I just go and throw it across the room, and everyone's like, "What?" I was like, "That was so bad. Like it was just instinct. I just threw it." And I showed you guys. I was like, "Do not let me see that again."
I remember that. That was bad. It was bad.
Dude, it made me freak out so bad. I was like, oh, I couldn't imagine just feeling your heels hit. And it didn't happen like at the same time. It was heel, boom, boom. And I was just like, oh my God, why?
I would have felt zero pain. I would just have been like, my life. like you've been like, what about everything? I can't even walk, bro. Like it's just so bad. It's so bad for so many reasons. Was there more to your story, by the way, or was that the end of it?
I mean, yeah, it was just like a screenshot of both of her knees backwards, and then I was like, yeah, this is how much I hate this gym. And then someone ended up liking the playlist, and I still don't know who it was. I was like, sick, I got a like.
That's awesome.
Yes. One win.
Yeah, something came out of it.
That's great. Well, was there anything else that you wanted to add, Jeff? Sample related, tricking related, anything like that you wanted to add on as well? Or things you're looking forward to? Any shout outs?
I would just say that like the best thing a tricker can do is trick every day. Like there was like some gray area for me anyway of like, should I trick every day or should I trick, 3 or 4 times a week and make sure those are always strong sessions? And like but the truth is you can't really like. You're always gonna have one of those sessions where you're like just too dead beat and like, it's not gonna go the way you want. But like, just tricking every day, for me anyway, will get you way more warmed up for the session later, and like you progress way faster. Your body gets way more used to it, and like you don't. For some reason, I feel like the amount of rehab that I've had to do outside of tricking has gone down significantly ever since I started tricking every day, just because your body adapts to it instead of being so like put under stress. Like the way I thought about it is that by tricking every day, your body adapts to it instead of deals with it. So like you lift at the gym and get your body prepared, but when you go to trick, it just gets destroyed. Like you're strong, but like your body's not used to those movements. Instead of rebuilding yourself back up in between sessions by constantly, it sounds bad, but like instead like just like making sure your body's constantly under that tricking stress, it actually makes your body way stronger. At least for
I
me
think it's
anyway.
also like you learn a lot better about like finding that point where you're not pushing yourself too hard because you know you have to trick again. So you find a balanced area where you're like, this movement is good for me. And also like that mental thing too. You're like, you show up over and over no matter what. You're like, I don't know how the session's gonna go, but I'm showing up right now. And like it puts your brain in that state. Plus you're constantly like you get better at what you constantly think about. And like if you're doing it every single day, then you're gonna be basically you're telling yourself on like this deep biological level, like this is important. We need to do this, and your body will learn and adjust accordingly, as like you said. And I think that it's a very much mental just as it is physical.
Right.
yeah.
And I think the sessions that I'm having, like I'll trick every morning for like, but it's only for like 20 to 30 minutes and it's nothing difficult. Usually like the first 10 minutes I'm just doing basic like kicks, like nothing higher level than like a cheat 10. Like I'm just working up the kick ladder, and then I'll do some cork variations, and then like maybe at the end I'll throw a dub. But like that's it. Like all you're
Yeah.
doing is just moving your body, and then if you have a session later, like you're already warmed up and then you can just jump right into it. But you're not really like going in. You're just kind of training and moving. And that's what I like about it though. It's so there's nothing at stake. You can just kind of go and
Right.
move as you want, and like that makes me appreciate it way more. Just knowing that I get to trick every day is just important to me anyway.
Definitely. That makes a lot of sense. And that's actually something that I'm struggling with right now is I'm training so often, like with MMA and tricking and trying to weight lift. And I just haven't had time to like stretch and like relieve my body. Like I'm so like tight. I can feel it so much. And like the most that I can do is like sit in the hot tub because stretching is like just too much work. Like I'm just too mentally drained to stretch at the end of the day. So I just sit in the hot tub and like punch myself in the thigh. Like that's like the extent of my rehab right now. I'm like, chill the fuck out. So that's like the extent of my rehab. And like, but what you're saying is if you do it, it's like, oh, so most people would be like, okay, well, you need to take a break from training then. And like, I think you're right. I think it would be very cool to counter that with saying like, no, I should train more. And people would be like, that doesn't make sense. You'd be like, no, because what's going to happen is I'm going to put myself in a situation where I could train every day. And I'm going to show up and like maybe for a half hour, I'm actually going to do the fucking rehab. Like maybe I would actually do the rehab at the session if I don't end up tricking, or maybe I would use that time to like slow down and not just go 100%, because like the worst training times for me is when I go against the heavy bag. Like when I'm going against people, I'm never sore. But when I go against the heavy bag, I'm hitting it harder. It's being stationary, so I'm not moving naturally. And I'm trying to push through this 200-pound bag versus, a 140-pound opponent that I'm normally against. So it's like a huge difference for my body. Plus, it's like high interval training. So you just go, go, go. And that's kind of the like, same exact thing. Like if you have a session every day, you pace yourself. And if you don't, you go hard and then you get hurt.
Right. So two things. It's like the first thing for me is this is actually what Jacoby told me is like the session is only it kind of takes the place for rehab in a way. Like
Right. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, like no matter how bad your body's feeling, like just being able to push yourself to the next level and just still be able to go and like push your body, like your body's gonna feel like junk at first, but like at least afterwards, it feels way better, and it's just really there to just loosen yourself up. And then the second thing is that, yeah, like what you said is like, wouldn't you want to take a break instead? But it kind of goes back to what people say is like, when you're sore from squats, you're supposed to go squat again.
Yeah.
And it's the same concept, I think. And I think
I think you're right. And like, if you're doing it correctly, then you're not putting an immense amount of strain. You're just going through the motions and you're stretching properly. You're moving. Yeah, it makes a ton of sense. I think that's a huge thing that a lot of people can take away from, but it requires a lot of discipline in number one, actually showing up, and number two, pulling yourself back when you need to. So,
right. And I think that's one thing that like, that was like a huge gray area for me. And I think that's a huge reason why I didn't trick every day for so long. Like it was, I've been tricking for how long? And like, I've only just started now doing this. Like, why wasn't I doing that the whole time? And I think that like no one really, I don't think people share important information as much as they should. Like, I don't know if they think that it's common sense or if they just don't have a good way
I
to put it
think
out.
that people do share information. I think everybody's so egotistical and set in their ways that they don't want to adjust their training schedule, or they're just lazy and they don't want to adjust the training schedule, or they're just not motivated. And if someone is generally trying to get good, like the people who take that to heart and actually give things a try are the novices, the people who don't have an ego yet, the people who don't feel like they have something to defend, like those people who are like actually willing to listen. They do apply those things, and those are always the people at the beginning, who are listening.
Right. I mean, not necessarily even for that specific thing, not specifically for training every day, but just like information in general that helps people trick. I think that, like, yes, there are programs like KTL and like Adrenaline have like tutorials and stuff, but it's like that more like specific stuff that you can't really make like a tutorial on. Like, no one is going to make a tutorial on, well, if you trick every day, like your body gets used to it. Like, no one, I'm sure there's a video out there somewhere, but no one really makes like
How about this video?
this video.
Yeah, I was about to say
That's what this podcast is all about, my guy.
Right.
This is what we do. This is what we talk about, because it's not talked about anywhere else. So you're exactly right.
Surprising.
And I think that's like one thing that I'm really, I don't want to say set on, but I'm really motivated to like kind of share with people, because I don't feel like there's enough sharing of that super personal training of why people do certain things. And I'm just like really eager, as like I go through the motions and become a better tricker over time, is to just share how I got to that point, because I feel like people are so like, closed with that information. Like, you'll ask someone like, well, how did you get to this point? They're like, it's like,
They're like hard work. You're like hard work. You're like, okay, bro. Like there is words to say that do convey the message, and they might not truly understand it. But I think you're right. I think that's like, it's very important. There's so much to be said, and it'd be very cool to share more of that type of information. It's definitely, it's definitely a possibility. So hopefully, and we can have you on again, dude. And because like obviously you have the same mindset that we're like chasing, that you've got that information that we're trying to get out there. So so we can definitely come up with topics. If you have anything that you think of that you want to dig into, like let us know, and we'll maybe do an episode on it.
For sure. Yeah. Because like when I come across these huge breakthrough moments in, a tricking career, it's like when you start doing it and you see how much of a difference it's making, and you're like, why hasn't anyone said anything about this? And like, why are there still so many trickers that only trick once a week, once every 2 weeks? And they're like, but they genuinely want to get better, and they think that taking a rest is the right way, and they just don't have, information, or like maybe they're too scared to ask people, which is a completely valid point too. It's like, if no one is really sharing anything, then like,
right. And that's what the thing is like, people might have these questions, but that information isn't readily available, and it's not being thrown in their face. So they're searching for it, but not really searching for it. It's like they have questions, but they don't know what to ask. So how can they find the answers? So like, we asked these questions so much. So hopefully these answers are the questions that you didn't know you had. That's basically what this is all about. So keep us updated on what you find.
Yeah, definitely.
I've definitely run into times where, especially with the girls, even like for myself, when I do things sometimes, they're like, oh, well, you were just a level 10. Like, yeah, but you don't understand like the amount of time it took to get there. Like, it's not like I was just
Right.
born a level 10. Like, I wasn't
Mhm.
born to go to college gymnastics. didn't just like start with that ability.
Well, Sean,
Yeah.
I'm sure too, like you're teaching them something and they're like, yeah, well, you were a level 10 gymnast. And you're like, excuse me, I learned that last week. And they're like, oh.
Yeah, I know.
like,
I tried like show them some stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, I just tried that the other day. And they're like, oh, and I'm like, yeah, and I can figure this out. And they're like, well, you were a level 10. You were like gonna go to college for this. And I was like, yeah, but I also haven't trained in 10 years. Like, really? You're still gonna try to hold that over my head? Like,
right.
like, ah. But yeah.
Yeah,
So
like
funny.
like even though Shosei is like leagues above us, like he still had to go through the same. I'm sure
Yeah.
he went through the same
Yeah.
things, and he just like. But the difference is that like he had, I think, everything to throw in his face, like I'm saying, like to make him such a good tricker that he is. Like he does train every day. He does his stretching. He does his rehab. He eats healthy. I mean, I don't live with him, so I don't know. But like, I'm assuming that he has taken those correct steps, and he just got it at such perfect timing for him to get to that point, and people don't really realize that. And I think, I mean, that's a huge part of like not why I trick, but I really want to share like just all those huge breakthroughs that I'm being introduced to slowly.
But
Yeah.
that's also why I love your sampler so much, dude, because it shows the parts of, like, not just the highlights. So you have that little section in there where you fell a bunch of times. You show the
Yeah.
parts where like it's like, wow, his triple corkers are so perfect. And then there's all those ones where you just fall. And you even fell on dubs, like in like all these like silly tricks
Right.
too. And like it's and then you see like the background of like they're like, oh, he must go to the gym and he's just training. And then it shows like Sawyer like looking at you between his legs and like you doing this weird ass dances with everybody. And they're like, oh wait, that's how this guy spends his sessions sometimes. Like, yeah. So I think that's what's like, it's just very cool. Like people, you don't have to go full send hardcore all the time. There's like this balance that you need to find. Like otherwise you're gonna burn yourself out and you're not gonna enjoy it. Like this is what this is like there's some massive, like beautiful experience. And like that's just, it honestly, like in a sense, like saved my life, right? Like it's like it gave us this thing that's like so priceless. Like imagine what our lives would be if we didn't get to experience this. It would be
I know.
so different, so boring. We would probably be like addicted to video games, and it would just be just some weird thing, that just everything is so different. And like obviously we just want to like share this and like give back to tricking. Like that's what this is about. So, and you did a very good job of doing that.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited to make my next sampler then, because I got a lot of really positive feedback on it. Like, and I honestly was super hesitant to like make that edit in the beginning just because like I know that it was so personal and I didn't know if it was gonna like really reach to people, but it seemed like it did in a way. And like I'm just hoping that I have a lot of people that tell me I'm like such an underrated tricker, and
You
I
are.
think that like a huge reason is because I'm not so fixated on like, trying to make myself out to be this huge, celebrity. I think I'm just super like, I don't know, it's I just like to do my own thing, and I think that's why I'm so underrated in a way.
Right, you're
is
you're
that-
so in it for the right reasons. You don't need that
Right.
recognition, and like it'll just happen if it happens, and if not, you're content. You're not doing this for them. You're doing this for you, like you have been since the beginning. And I think that's what a lot of people just like misunderstand. Like those people when you go to the session and they go, "Why are you going so hard?" And you're like, "Because I enjoy that." Like people
Yeah.
think it's for this thing, and like you gotta tell them like it's not. Like you don't need to be, intimidated. Like
Yeah.
it's just what I do. It's just a good time. And like this just you in your zone, like, being in your skin, that's what you're all about. It's nothing wrong with that.
Right. Like I'm not trying to really impress anyone. I'm just like, obviously I like posting good tricks and like, there's that aspect to it, but I think everyone kind of can get on that train where,
Yeah.
obviously you want to, post the things that you're proud of, and like you definitely want to get better, but like overall I'm just really trying to enjoy my time and like, just have a good session, honestly.
I feel that.
Well, awesome. I think let's call it right there, and then definitely we'll take a look at your other sampler. We'll get you on and maybe interview you about
Awesome.
that one. And then yeah, like any trick ideas that come up, we'll pull you on for that too.
For sure. I'll keep you updated.
Sweet. All right. Well, thanks for letting us do this, and see you guys next time.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me on. That was awesome.
Don't forget to follow us on the_flip_side_podcast on Instagram.
And CHRISPY_TRIX. That's chrispy-trix on Instagram. And I also have another YouTube channel, TrixFix, TRIX space FIX, for more tutorials and other things.
And we'll see you guys next time.